Chapter 74: The Surprise Sneak Attack. Walking out brightly. Ha 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 ha. Ding Rui laughed coldly as she looked across at Gu Hai. Gu Hai, you're dreaming. Just by you. Ding Dong drank coldly. Gu Hai stepped forward, and with a glance, he looked at all the surrounding cultivators and saw the Tusheng chess king, who had his arm around a black-robed woman without uttering a word. Ding Dong, you want to be an enemy of the One Piece Hall. You want to be an enemy of the Hall Master's grandfather. Have you ever thought that all the disciples of the Ding Long sect are thinking the same as you? Gu Hai said in a cold voice. Thus, the Ding Long sect disciples immediately exchanged words. Gu Hai, you turned on Ding Dong earlier, and now you want to provoke the Ding Long sect disciples. Is that the only trick you have? Ding Rule sneered. The surrounding Ding Long sect disciples were silent for a while and did not open their mouths. I'm not picking on the Ding Long sect disciples, but it's come to this moment, and I need to make it clear which ones can be enemies and which ones can be spared, Gu Hai said in a cold voice. The surrounding cultivators gave a slight lurch. What did Gu Hai mean by this? Which people can be spared? You think you hold the initiative now? Ding Dong, however, looked panicked. Gu Hai had been emboldened until now. It couldn't be that Grandpa Long Wanqing had really come, right? Spare? Who do you want to spare? You are scared silly, right? Ding Rui looked at Gu Hai in surprise. Long Wanqing also looked at Gu Hai in puzzlement. A disciple of the Ding Long sect, the Fire Rudder disciples, and all cultivators. Now, it's a feud between me and Ding Rule. Those who don't want to get involved in this muddy water, please stand on both sides so as to avoid any accidental injuries later on. I can assure you all that no matter what the outcome is, you're all unharmed. Gu Hai opened his mouth. The cultivators in the four directions revealed a wave of bewilderment. The crowd was naturally unwilling to trip through this muddy water and retreated to the sides. Tusheng chess king with a group of disciples also slowly retreated to the sides. Ding Rui and Ding Dong, the Gu Hai suspiciously, the disciples of the Ding Long sect, and the disciples of the Fire Rudder of the One Piece Hall, but their figures did not move. What? You really have help? Ding Rui said in a cold voice. Long Wanqing looked at Gu Hai. A wave of worry flashed in her eyes. Hall Master, bring those 3 tables next to me, Gu Hai said in a deep voice. The surrounding crowd revealed a wave of bewilderment. Move the tables. Although Long Wanqing had her cultivation sealed, she still had some strength in terms of power. The 3 wooden tables were not heavy and were quickly moved. Gu Hai slowly stacked the 3 tables. Under the puzzled gazes of the crowd, Gu Hai slowly stepped on top of the 3 tables. Gu Hai's crazy, isn't he? What is he doing? At this time, still playing with climbing tables. Where's his backbone? The surrounding cultivators revealed bewilderment. Ding Long sect disciples finally followed Ding Dong. A moment of complexity. Ding Rui, however, was wary of Gu Hai. Although she felt that Gu Hai's cultivation level was very low, but the Dafeng Ang and Song Jia sect were ultimately destroyed in his hands. So she had to be careful, and every one of his actions could have a deeper meaning. However, seeing Gu Hai climb up to the high platform of 3 tables, Ding Rui really had a feeling of not being able to guess. What was this going to be? Gu Hai, it's come to this point. What else do you have to pretend? Immediately tie your hands or else, Ding Dong led. Patriarch Ding, do you know? At first, Li Wei of the Dafeng Ang had this tone. Later on, Song Shenping of the Songjia sect also had this tone, as well as Li King of the King sect also had this tone. Do you know what happened to them? Gu Hai said in a cold voice. Ding Dong's face changed. You destroyed the King sect as well. The head of the King sect's patriarch was cut off by my own hands, Gu Hai said in a cold voice. Impossible. How could you be a match for Li King? Ding Dong drank coldly. Whew. Steeply, Gu Hai flipped his hand and grabbed out a human head. Wow. The faces of the surrounding cultivators suddenly changed. Who would have thought that Gu Hai would suddenly grab a human head? This is Li King, someone suddenly exclaimed. Why are there so many snake heads on Li King's head? Someone exclaimed. Demonizing a human. Fu blood actually demonized Li King as well. Ding Rui was surprised. Patriarch Ding, do you still not believe it now? Gu Hai said with a smile. Ding Dong's eyelids fluttered furiously. Don't believe it. You can ask Li King. He can answer you how he opened up to me back then, and then how I cut off his head. Gu Hai said with a gloomy face. Ask. The crowd revealed a bewildered look. The head had been cut off. How could this be asked? Even Long Wanqing looked at Gu Hai with wide eyes. Gu Hai wasn't crazy, was he? Li King, you tell them. Gu Hai let out a loud shout. Buzz, however, he saw that those small snakes on Li King's head slowly moved. Ka 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 ka. Under the urging of Gu Hai's true chi, the small snakes moved with a click 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 sound. Li King's face also trembled. Alive? How is that possible? That snake head is so ferocious. Li King's head was cut off, and he's still alive. Countless cultivators in the surroundings were shocked by this creepy scene. Some cultivators couldn't help but take a step back. It was too bizarre. Ding Dong and the Ding Long sect disciples all had numb scalps, their eyes staring at Li King's snake head without blinking. Ding Rui and a group of subordinates were also in disbelief. Li King, with his head cut off. It's impossible for him to still be alive, Ding Rui said with a grim face. Look carefully. Is he still alive? Gu Hai drank. HMPH, demonic words. Ding Rui let out a cold snort, as if she was about to strike. Hu, steeply. Li King opened his eyes. He opened his eyes. So much red light. Why is there red light coming out of Li King's eyes? Li King is still alive. The eyes of the people in the back would be blocked by the people in the front, speaking a bunch of words just to attract the gazes of everyone across the street. For a while, countless red lights spurted out. Buzz. Thousands of cultivators were hit in an instant, just like when the 3,000 evil people were enveloped in red light in an instant. Not good. There's something wrong with the red light, Ding Rui shouted as her face changed. Ding Rui and Ding Dong had watched most carefully. Where would they have thought that Li King's eyes would still be open? It would also emit a red light curse, and almost instantly, both of them were hit. A group of Ding Long sect disciples let out a miserable cry. Ka 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 ka. Countless Ding Long sect disciples stiffened up around them, their bodies graying, in the midst of rapid petrification. No, no, Ding Dong shrieked in terror, trying to struggle, but, after all, Ding Dong's strength was not enough in general, and was also in the midst of rapid petrification. The crowd of Fire Rudder disciples were also in the midst of petrification. The red light only exploded for a short while before Gu Hai collected the head of the snake's hair. Boom! Gu Hai jumped down from the high platform. Long Wanqing stared at the continuously petrified cultivators on the opposite side with wide eyes. There was a short burst of silence in the Yuron Valley. Everyone sucked in a cold breath. Looking all over, nearly everyone had turned into stone. What's going on? Long Wanqing was surprised. Thousands of people. Eventually, someone had avoided the red light, and then looked at the people around them. What's going on? Senior brother, how did you turn into stone? Stone, don't. How did you turn into stone? The people who avoided the red light looked around in horror. The thousands of people who had held a big advantage just now most of them had turned into stone in the twinkling of an eye. Stone statues. How could this happen? A great thrill went straight to the whole body. Wow. The cultivators, who were called to the sides by Gu Hai, kept retreating backwards in terror. All turned to stone. How could this happen? For a moment, the crowd looked to Gu Hai in sudden horror. Gu Hai jumped to Long Wanqing's side and looked coldly at Ding Rui and Ding Dong. The two biggest threats. Ding Dong had already turned into a stone statue, but Ding Rui had not yet, only having half of her body turned into a stone statue, as if she was in the middle of struggling with the curse with her strength. Gu Hai, you lied to me. Ah, Ding Rui roared in depression. Not good. The petrification on Ding Rui's body is fading. Long Wanqing's face changed. Hall Master, stay put. I'll go kill Ding Rui. Gu Hai's eyes glared, and he was about to strike. Kill me. HMPH. Ding Rui let out a loud shout. Buzz. Probing her hand, she took out an ancient zither from the small space of the token. Be careful, don't go. Long Wanqing's face abruptly changed. On top of the ancient zither, there was only one string, but that string had been plucked and was stuck there by a fine needle. However, Ding Rui was seen probing her hand to pick off that fine needle. Buzz. The string returned to its place in an instant, and a zither sound suddenly appeared. Along with this zither sound, out of thin air, endless sword chi erupted. Boom! As if it was a storm, the sword chi rushed straight in all directions. Cross-rubbing. The surrounding stone statues were blown to pieces in an instant. The surrounding cultivators quickly retreated again and again as the rolling sword chi took Ding Rui, who was holding the kin, as the center, forming a sphere that sent out in all directions. Wherever it went, everything was destroyed, and the surrounding mountains, rocks, trees, and stone statues were strangled to pieces. Dang dang dang. Gu Hai took out a long sword and chopped it. Instantly, the long sword was shredded by the sword chi. Gu Hai's face changed as he brought Long Wanqing and quickly jumped towards the periphery. Ah, helmsman. The subordinates who had not turned into stone statues instantly jumped towards the periphery in a scream of misery. Most of the Ding Long sect's disciples, who had turned into stone statues, were instantly crushed. Only a few escaped, looking at the scene in horror. Master, sect master, no. The crowd screamed, but it was too late, including Ding Dong, who was instantly crushed. The power of the sword chi storm was too powerful. The several thousand people who had been raging just a moment ago were left with only 100 or so people in the blink of an eye. In order to protect herself, Ding Rui didn't care if these stone statues could be revived. In that ancient zither, a zither sound was sealed, and the sound contained endless sword chi, which could protect the body for a short period of time and could not be approached. It wasn't sealed by Ding Rui. She doesn't have this ability. Long Wanqing's face changed and said. Gu Hai took out a longbow and shot an arrow wrapped in true chi towards Ding Rui. Swoosh, boom. Instantly, the long arrow was shredded by countless sword chi. It's useless. This zither keeps trembling and the sword aura field formed is too strong. Long Wanqing's face changed and said. Mr. Gu, we'll help you. A cultivator jumped out steeply. After all, just now, it was Gu Hai who told the crowd not to get involved, and the crowd hid on the sides to avoid turning into stone statues, otherwise, they would have died just now. This wasn't taking on a favor anymore, it was saving their lives. Boom. Instantly, there were 300 cultivators jumping out, blocking a group of fire rudder disciples. Thank you all, there's no need. They wouldn't dare, Gu Hai said in a cold voice. As expected, a wave of worry appeared on the faces of the crowd of fire rudder disciples. After all, the example of the Song Armor sect was fresh in their minds. Also, Li Qing's head was something even more frightening. The crowd of fire rudder disciples just surrounded from afar. Gu Hai. Long Wanqing anxiously looked towards Gu Hai. Gu Hai looked at the Tu Sheng chess king not far away, but the Tu Sheng chess king was generally indifferent. HMPH. Gu Hai let out a cold snort. Probing his hand, he steeply wrapped it around Long Wanqing's waist. What for? Long Wanqing's face changed. Hold me tight, Gu Hai said in a deep voice. As he spoke, his body slightly squatted, followed by a violent leap. Boom. There was a loud bang from the earth and countless cracks appeared, but Gu Hai was like a cannonball, rushing straight to the floating island high in the sky. The powerful jumping force made Gu Hai jump high in the sky in an instant. Long Wanqing hugged Gu Hai in shock. Ding Rui hugged Guqin. Her face changed furiously for a moment. Buzz buzz buzz. Amidst the slow reduction of the petrified area on her body, Ding Rui's face grew colder and colder. You won't be able to escape, Gu Hai. The surrounding cultivators looked up towards Gu Hai. Dozens of Ding Rui's subordinate celestials wailed for a while, and ultimately did not go after them. The ground was full of stone statue fragments. Even if they were able to recover, these people would still be dead. The crowd looked towards Ding Rui with a complicated expression. Snap! High in the sky, Gu Hai jumped onto the floating island and landed on top of the floating island boundary. Gu Hai quickly stepped forward and carefully looked at the chessboard. Snap! Without hesitation, Gu Hai grabbed a black seed and landed it on top of the board. Boom! Around the floating island, steep clouds rapidly churned up. What is Gu Hai doing there? Seems like he's playing chess. A group of cultivators were about to vomit blood. At this time, there was still leisure to play chess. Not good. Ding Rui's petrification is about to break. There's still a little bit left at the foot, someone exclaimed. Snap! High in the sky, Gu Hai landed another piece. Boom! Steeply, there were 10 stumps that burst apart. Ding Rui's face sank. Gu Hai was breaking the game.